Hello, and welcome to Dylan's Dive Bar. As you guys can see, we are back in the bar. We're back at the lab where everything has happened, where everything started. And it is my pleasure to welcome you to Dylan's Dive Bar. And if this is your first time joining us, I am your host, Randy, aka Elaine Dillon. And the Dylan's Dive Bar concept is conversations, community, and cocktails. So we have conversations that spark thought and produce change. And then we have community because we support each other in being better versions of ourselves. And then, of course, cocktails because a dive bar is not a bar without cocktails. So thank you for joining us. It has been my absolute pleasure to be hosting. And tonight we have a very special guest in the building. She's actually a graduate of the school that I work at. Shout out to ABC Bartending School. And she is going to be talking to us tonight about being a star in the entertainment industry. So she went from being a child star to an adult star in the entertainment industry. And we've heard so many stories. So now we're going to get to hear one from someone who's actually lived it, which is really exciting. So without further ado, I'm going to bring to you Miss Isabella Amara. Come on in. Hello.
Hello, everyone. So glad to be here.
So tonight, A Star is Born. We're going to talk about your life as a child star all the way up to being an adult. A very cute adult, I might add. So tonight, we're going to do sparkling Cape Cod.
Vodka's gift creation.
So she's a vodka girl, so am I. Technically, I'm more of a tequila girl, but vodka is always okay.
You are tequila.
I am a tequila girl. So we are going to do sparkling Cape Cods because, it's a little Hollywood theme right now since you're here.
A little
Sparkle for the Hollywood star. So let's go ahead and start with our drinks. Yeah, gotta think pink. All right. So, guys, for those of you who don't know, a Cape Cod is vodka and cranberry juice. So we're going to add a little sparkle to that and fancy it up just a little bit because it's the dive bar. Why not? Right?
Why not?
Right? Why not? So we are going to start with our Collins glasses. We're going to get a little ice. No, that's what we do. So get that so we can get ice the easy way.
Do this. I'm here to be watching me very closely.
Tonight we're actually going to do this the easy way. Really? We are. We're going to do this the easy way. So
you always seem to do things pretty easy, though. Quick and efficient.
Yes. This is her teacher. So what she's reminding you guys of is that I watch all of my students. When I go visit them at bars, I'm watching them and they're like, oh my God, it's so good to see you. I'm like, yeah. And then I'm like, what's your email address? They're like, why? And I'm like, okay, so here's some notes. These are some things I saw. Because I told them when they left, I am always going to be your teacher. Yes. And if I see something, I'm going to say something. So we're going to do this the easy way tonight because I like you just a little bit.
Oh.
So we have little bottles of vodka. You get to choose. Would you like raspberry or peach?
Raspberry.
I'm so glad she said raspberry because I really wanted peach.
But we go well together.
Being the ultimate hostess, I had to let her choose. So we're going to pour this right on in here.
Oh, no counts.
No counts.
No counts.
No counts. So here we are with our new Amsterdam vodka. So those of you who've never had New Amsterdam, it's actually pretty good vodka.
I never have, actually.
You've never had New Amsterdam?
Never. My dad raised me on Grey Goose.
There's nothing wrong with the goose. So we add a little cranberry juice to this. You can add as much or as little as you want. Ooh. And then the sparkling part. So this is our sparkling water. I love this because it's flavored, but it's like sugar-free. So it's like the safe way to soda. So this,
get your own drinks.
Because a Cape Cod typically has lime, I chose key lime.
You are so smart.
I know. All right, so here we go. We're going to add our key lime sparkling to that. So that's our lime flavor.
I'm going to start making this all the time.
You should.
It's so simple, too.
You should. Sometimes the simplest cocktails are the best cocktails. Like, everyone wants to do ones that are, like, super, super, complicated, and they want to do the smoke stuff. And I like that stuff as much as the next person.
Yes, and.
But, production aside, sometimes the simplest cocktails are the best. Oh, my dear, your straw.
I'm so excited.
Who's that talking to us? Winter and go over here.
Water
and juice guy over here.
This is my favorite type of drink. Water and juice.
I mean, this is a juice and this is sparkling water. So
this is beautiful.
Isn't it though? Like, there you go. So cheers to your first appearance on the dive bar.
Cheers to your amazing podcasting show.
Oh, thank you. That is so good. And then I have like the peach from the vodka like coming on in. which makes that even better.
Oh my gosh.
You're welcome. So whatever,
And
I know, whatever you chose, put it down in the comments so we know what you're drinking while you're hanging with us. So let's talk.
let's talk.
What, like, you started what age in this industry?
Professionally or in general?
Professionally.
Professionally, I started doing Broadway tours when I was 8 years old.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
All right, name a Broadway show.
Annie was my first one I did.
Were you Annie?
I was not Annie. I was not Annie. I was hired to be in a group of orphan kids when they came to Atlanta, and that was like my first little small thing, but we were rehearsing all the time. I will say, my mom never took my acting seriously or my performing seriously. I mean, she knew I was great, but like, you know, every parent thinks their child is great at everything when they're little. And it took until I was about 9 years old or not 9, I'd say I guess 7. Right before I booked Annie, my cousin was going up because she had been called in to go up for Annie and been scouted. And my mom was like, well, it's an open call. Why don't we go? And I went, and there were like 500 girls. My cousin was cut. All these girls were cut. And then it got down to 35 girls left, and I was still in that mixture of girls.
Whoa.
And my mom was like, oh, she's good.
She's got something there.
She's
500.
good.
That's crazy.
It was crazy. That's the thing. When you first like get into performing, especially as a child, they do these mass cattle calls where they're just like, anybody who fits little girl between ages 5 to 10, come on in. And so you would go through and you would go in and you'd sing your song. You get like 32 bars to sing.
Wow.
So you'd sing those 32 bars. Then they'd kick you out of the room. They'd bring in other girls. And then a casting director would come out with a sheet of paper and they'd read numbers because everyone was a number at that point. So they'd be like 35, 24, 268, and they'd go through numbers and they'd say, you're cut, leave. Thank you so much. So then those girls would leave. And
crying, no doubt.
Right, absolutely. So then the next call would be dance. So then we'd all go in and we'd learn a dance routine, but a quick little tip for anybody who is getting into Broadway especially, you can pay people who have been on the shows before you go into the auditions to learn the dances. So for me, phenomenal dancer, but when it comes to being in a room and picking up a dance in 3 minutes, that's like a 4-minute dance.
You get 3 minutes to pick up 4 minutes.
Pretty much.
So that's like a 32 count?
Yeah, they'll break it all down. And I mean, you might have a couple more minutes depending on your age to like run through it, but then they'll break you up into groups of like 15. They'll all pull you out and you'll be sitting there in the room watching everybody else go. And it's so nerve-wracking.
I can imagine.
It's crazy, but I'm really thankful I had that experience because, you know, it taught me how cutthroat the industry was at a young age. And so I did Annie, I did Messiah Rocks, and then my first movie I ever did was Joyful Noise, which is with Dolly Parton and Queen Latifah and Keke Palmer. We love her.
Did you get to meet like all of them? Or like
Absolutely.
An extra?
Well, this is what we were talking about in class the other day. So there was one giant kids choir in the movie that was competing, and we were supposed to be like so good that we were only competing against adults, and we were like the ones to beat. And the girl standing directly behind me that I was with every single month for like 6 months in a row, every single day, she would stand behind me while we were rehearsing. She and I became close friends, was Chloe Bailey.
You did mention that. Okay.
So Chloe and I are close from that, but you know, my background is very much in musical theater and in church music and singing and dancing. And so I'm very thankful I've gotten the opportunity from a young age to just be so integrated into that.
Wow.
Yeah, it's been really rad.
I love that. So which audition process is harder? Is it Broadway or off-Broadway?
Like film and TV?
Yeah.
I think that's subjective. I think if you have been training really, really hard, I think film and TV can be harder because there's a lot more space in between.
Okay.
So with film and TV, you're going to go in, you're going to do an initial audition, and then you might hear something that day. You might not hear anything for 3-4 weeks and think it's completely gone.
Oh, wow.
And then somebody will pop back up. And then you might get like 4 or 5 auditions back in a row for that same project and then nothing. And then all of a sudden they're like, 4 weeks later, they're like, hey, we're going to fly you out. Like it happened to me the other day.
Right.
So that can happen. But whereas like if you're auditioning for Broadway, you know right then and there pretty much if you're cut or not. And they'll go through it all day. Like you can be in a studio from like 10 a.m. to like 3 or 4 p.m. doing auditions and doing rounds and doing cuts. And then they'll read the numbers and they'll go, okay, at the end of the day, they'll go, this number, this number, this number, this number. Thank you guys so much. We will see you here tomorrow at 10 a.m. And that can go on for 4, 5, 6 days in a row. I was doing that with Billy Elliot when I was 10 years old. And it got down to me and 3 other girls.
Yeah.
And they had 3 shows to cast. They had Chicago, they had New York, and they had the tour. They were casting Billies in the next room. So there were 4 boys and 4 girls. And they were trying to cut somebody. They casted all of the little boys in the next room, and I got cut because I was half an inch too tall.
What?
It's stuff like that. I know, but I was in there every single day. For
I'm a taller guy. What the heck?
You know, it's just the luck of the draw. I've been told that I don't look Jewish enough before for Broadway for a specific role where like it was taking place at a Jewish camp. I've been told crazy things that just make no sense.
An inch and a half.
An inch.
An inch and a half. I've never been told I was too tall in my entire life. I've always been.
I
short.
know.
So
well, that's the thing. As a child on Broadway, you do something called hiking out. So when you hike out, that means you have hit the tallest height they will hire for a child, and you cannot work again on Broadway until you are an adult. So you hit that height at 4'10". And I was that kid that grew very rapidly until 5th grade, and then I stopped. And then I didn't grow at all. Like
ever again in life.
I swear, I was in like 6th grade. I was like, I'm going to be 5'8".
No.
Here we are, a solid, 5'2",
right.
5'3".
Okay, so does that mean there are no teenagers on Broadway?
There can be, but it's very, very, very rare. Like there was one show called 13 that was literally about 13-year-olds, which is where they found Ariana Grande. That show was on for 2 years and they cut it. Other than that, there's really not any Broadway roles for teenagers, which is a really weird thing.
Right. That's a very big gap.
It's a large gap.
From what, like 7 to 21?
You can play kid roles at any age if you are 4'10" and under.
So we have adults running around, you're playing kids. Let's just keep that in mind.
Yeah.
All right. So we're going to take our first break, guys. We are talking with Miss Isabella Amara, and we are talking about being a star in this industry. So we will be right back. We're going to take a quick break, and we're going to keep this conversation going because I have way more questions, and I'm sure you do too. So we'll be right back. This is Dylan's Dive Bar. A Star is Born. Welcome back to Dylan's Dive Bar. So we are here with Miss Isabella Amara, and we are talking about her growing up in this industry. So for those of you who are just joining us, we are talking with Isabella. We're talking about being a child star, and we just found out very interesting information. There are no teenagers on Broadway.
No teenagers.
Okay. Once you height out, is that what you said?
You height out.
Height out. Once you get to a certain height, you cannot be on Broadway until you're an adult. Okay, that is hilarious and sad all at the same time. But that does help them not grow up in that awkward stage of teenage where we change as teenagers in front of other people. Because I think like it was Kim Fields. Oh crap. Kim Fields, who was talking about it on in an interview about the facts of life, how they go through they were going through the teenage years in front of everybody, and they were calling them fat and things like that. And it's like, that's a terrible thing. So
it's terrible, and like at that age, you don't even have the self-confidence to really stand up for yourself and be like, no, you're just dumb.
So they had to go through all of that in front of the entire world. So I guess it's like a plus. So I did see some comments popping up in our from Ross. He says, hey, what are y'all sipping on? These are our sparkling Cape Cods. And that is vodka with cranberry juice and sparkling water. And we use key lime sparkling water, which is really great. And then looking Jewish enough. Like and that's so weird because I think some people forget that being Jewish is actually an ethnicity, not just a religion. Yeah. And so some people will be like, you don't look Jewish enough. But it's like, they do have very distinctive features, some of them.
They do, and I've been told I don't have the nose for it. So
you don't have the nose.
I don't. Literally the words that were used. So you don't
have a Jewish nose.
I've been told for film and TV, my most favorite reason for not getting cast in something, and you would love to hear this knowing you, is the reason we couldn't book you is because like you're not ugly enough, like you're too pretty. And I'm like, you know what?
I don't even know how to respond.
I'll take it.
I mean, outside of a slip go to hell, like what?
But like to be told you're too pretty for something is like, okay. Like there are worse reasons to not get a job.
There are worse. What do you tell your agent? Can you find me roles where I don't have to be ugly? Like what? How do you adjust from that?
That's what's so crazy is something I've started learning recently is a lot of casting comes back to your essence. Mm-hmm. So it's your look, yes, plays a whole big part into it. But, I can go in for a role, and if they don't think my personality is that character, then it's very hard for me to book a role. Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's crazy.
The acting kind of goes out the door at a certain point because they expect everybody to be good.
Right.
So then, which is, it's very weird. And then I think you hit this other point where you hit that A-lister point. And at that point, they're like, we will take you
no matter
what.
We make the role fit you. You're an A-lister.
Right? But you're never going to see Angelina Jolie playing a beautiful girl who is calm and is peaceful and is sweet and is the girl next door. You're not going to see her. She's the crazy woman who is hot. She's the
badass that's like running through got Lara Croft, all that stuff. Okay, got you.
Yeah, same concept.
Huh. But then that boxes you in because, like, you're right. We have never seen her be a very soft. Like I've seen her as a police officer. I think the softest role I've ever seen her in was Bone Collector, and even then she had to be a tough female cop. But she showed her softer side, next to Denzel or whatever. But she was still like pretty badass.
And it does box you in for sure. And, for a long time, I had this argument with myself as a teenager and with my team where I was like, I don't want to be boxed in. Because you're a performer, you want the opportunities to perform in whatever facet that may be in whatever roles, because that is the love and the creativity and the spark about it. But the thing I've started to recently take another look at and take a spin on, because I love playing devil's advocate. It helps me feel more positive in my life, and it helps me come to terms and come to a real understanding with how other people view things.
Yeah.
Is maybe it's a good thing to be boxed in, because think about, let me think of somebody who I feel like, okay, think about, Kevin Spacey, or think about, Ed Norton or Christian Bale, or, even take Angelina Jolie, as we were just talking, for example. They do those roles so well because they are those people to some extent.
Yeah.
They might not fully be those people, but there's a part of them and a facet about them that is that person.
Yeah.
And that is why they can fully tap into it. For, a lot of people in my age group, people have been loving Jacob Elordi. And the thing I'd say about Jacob Elordi is Jacob Elordi always plays characters who are a little bit on the abusive psychotic end. And I say, now why is that?
Is he?
I don't know him. But why does he do it so well? And why are those the only roles he books?
He must connect with that on some level.
He must connect with it on some level, because somebody who's never experienced that, never been that, never even thought about that, they wouldn't know how to get there all the way.
Typecast, right? Yes, that would be
Typecasting.
typecast. Okay, so dream role.
Dream role.
What is your dream role? And taking out being boxed in, I mean, like if you were to book something like this, you would be like, damn it, I made it. What is your dream role?
I get asked this question all the time, and I think it's hard to come up with, because there's always so many new projects coming out with so many interesting concepts that I would have never thought about. I think maybe more so thinking of like actors or performers. I'd like to do roles that they do, so Catherine Zeta-Jones, she played my mom in a TV show. And I love and adore her, but I love her work, I
Oh, can you hear me?
I hear you on here.
Okay.
Yay.
We are rolling.
Okay. All right. So, guys, sorry, technical difficulties. Kind of the natural way things go. Sometimes things fuck up. However, we're back. Okay. So we're talking about dream roles.
Yes.
And you were saying Catherine Zeta-Jones played your mom, and you would love to do something with her or do something like that.
I would love to, emulate her career, or emulate, I would love to emulate Angelina Jolie's career. I would love to, and the reason why I say Catherine, though, let me backtrack, is because, like I said, I have done theater growing up, and I am a phenomenal singer, and I am a dancer and an actor, and she has had the opportunity to do all those things.
Right.
And I think that is phenomenal that she has had that opportunity both on stage as well as on film and TV. So, would love to do that. And I think the roles she plays are very complex and very well written and very female forward. And I'm all for that. Angelina Jolie, the reason why I say her is because her roles are always crazy and always very in depth. And I say to my mom all the time, you can't be this pretty and not be crazy. So I love that. Like, I love getting into the nitty gritty things whenever I get a role where it's like a drug addict or a teen mom or, things that I am 100% not.
Right.
I love those roles
You get to
because
stretch.
I get to stretch and they're dark, and I kind of love dark things. I do very well in dark comedies. And so my last movie was a dark comedy. And so for me, those type of roles would be fantastic, and I'd love to pursue those. I really would love to EGOT one day. So win a Grammy, a Tony, an Oscar, and an Emmy.
Okay.
That is a life goal though. And being 25,
you have plenty of time.
I've got time.
Plenty of time.
I'm working on it. But for the time being, I'm not a rom-com girl. Never have been. But recently I've been pondering, I'm like, you know what? I would kind of like to do one of those movies, because being on a set like that, it's lighthearted and it's fun and it feels like a summer camp. And so for me, would love to do that. I'd also love to work with A24, which is a production company that does a lot of intense movies, a lot of intense shows like Euphoria, The Room, a bunch of phenomenal projects that are very artistic, but again, very dark. So in an HBO thing, I would love to do. So for me, it's less about a specific role. I think I'll know the role when I see it.
Yeah.
I think it's more about, what's going to make me the most proud when I'm on my deathbed. And I think that's giving people the opportunity to take 1 to 2 hours out of their life, if not more, to disconnect and to really enjoy and to learn to have empathy and understanding for other people's lives, and to really change people and change people's point of views and perspectives. And that's what I want, and that's the best I can do, and we'll do it.
So while you're thinking of different roles, would you rather have a TV series that takes off, kind of like a Friends or the Big Bang Theory, where we're looking at 10, 12 seasons? Or would you rather have a successful movie series like Fast and the Furious, where now we're like what, 9? We just did Fast and we're almost up to 10.
10.
We're at 10.
10.
So would you rather have that successful TV show where you're playing a character that has an opportunity to grow and change in 8, 9, 10, maybe more seasons, or a movie where even though there is some change, but there's still that theme, and it's a franchise movie?
Personally, I would say a movie series. And it's funny because Laura Dern has done so much TV since saying this to me, because the thing is, I want to say TV because the money is in TV.
Really?
You make a lot more money doing TV than you ever would doing movies, which used to not be true, but just in the past 10 years, it's just skyrocketed. And so the financial stability of not only making consistent money every year, and a lot of it as an adult, chef's kiss.
Yeah.
But the ego artist in me, movies.
Okay.
Laura Dern said to me when I was 16, she said, people do TV to get to movies.
Okay. So let's talk about this financial thing you said, because that definitely seems backwards to me, because you hear, people making 20, 25, 28 million a movie.
Right.
But do you think that the change in TV happened when shows like Friends, where each of them were making $1 million an episode for 22 episodes, something like that?
Like Big Bang, they were doing that.
They were doing that.
Big
So
Bang
it's like,
Theory,
is that
they were
what
making
changed?
Close to $1 million an episode.
Is that what changed that scale from movies and TV?
I think a couple things. I think definitely those massive shows that really hit and took off. I think streamers made a big difference. Having Netflix, having Hulu, having Amazon Prime. I think those made all the difference in the world, because you are able to, everything used to be 20-some episodes, which I personally love. I wish we could go back to, because for me, I'm watching TV, I'm watching TV to relax, even if it is a stressful show. And I kind of like having either those random filler episodes that make no sense. You don't know why it's there. You're like, why am I watching Jake play soccer? This has nothing to do with the plot. Or just like thinking about like a show like Prison Break where they just drag the stress out every single episode. And I love things like that. But I think there's a lot more of a fan following with TV than you're going to see with movies, especially, back in the early 2000s when things were coming out religiously every single week.
Yeah.
And people were tuning in and
Every
watching.
week, yeah.
Right? But now with streamers, it's in the ability to binge watch a show has created such an addiction, almost, to a TV show, that it's caused this mass merchandising and mass following. I mean, think about how The Walking Dead and Game of Thrones,
and there are like 9 different variations of The Walking Dead.
Exactly, so there's like 12 million of them now.
It's like The Walking Dead and The Walking Dead. It's like, how many are there?
Exactly, Game of Thrones is a spinoff, and it's like, the thing is with a movie, you are attached to a project for minimum 1 month, max 6 months. But that's so rare. It's normally 1 to 3 months that you're doing a movie.
Okay.
And in that time period, you are on first right of refusal, which means they have all say over your schedule. They're the ones who choose what you do with your time. No one else can book you, and if they do, they need approval from us.
Oh, wow.
But that's 1 to 6 months. It's not too long. TV, with a show like that, that's a year. That's 2 years. That's 3 years. That's 4 years. It's 5. That's 6. And then all of a sudden, you cannot be a lead on any other shows. It's usually so hard to book a movie when you're a lead on a show, and you're almost kind of contractually trapped
right there.
Well, the show I did with Catherine, phenomenal. We were getting 1 to 10 million views every episode, but we were held under our contract for like 6 to 8 months after the show ended and like finished airing, where we weren't allowed to do anything because we were waiting for studio. It was in our contracts, and we were waiting for studio approval on if the show was going to continue or not.
Oh.
So if it continued, then we already had the contract drafted for the next season, and that would go void. I mean, not void, that would go into action.
Right.
But for that time period, they had a hold. And studios 9 times out of 10, while they can go around it and they can make it happen,
they don't want to.
That's a lot.
So when you have that moment where you're waiting to see if it gets picked up, when it gets picked up, do you immediately go back into filming, or is there like a break?
Well, normally when something gets repicked up, or picked back up, you find out about 5 to 6 months after the last episode aired for that season.
Okay.
So that is kind of a break. And then I'd say within a month or 2, you go back into pre-production. So you're not going to be filming, but they're going to be location scouting. You're going to go back into hair and makeup to figure out like character development for the next season. You're going to go back in the wardrobe. You're going to be trying things on. You're going to be doing table reads, meeting with directors and producers, figuring out what the studio wants for this next season, what the viewers thought from data collection and what they need to change.
Okay.
And so that usually lasts about a month to 2 months, depending on the project. And then pretty much you're immediately rolling. And fun fact, you never shoot things in order. So like script order. So like there's been times where we've shot the last scene of the entire movie on day 2. And we've shot the first or second scene of the movie on one of the last days of shooting.
So that's why I'm like in the middle sometimes it'll be like, that's a wrap for this person. Because even though like you may see them throughout the end of the movie, they recorded in a different area.
That's a wrap on this person. Thank you very much.
Okay. So when we're looking at TV shows.
Yes.
And let's say they're doing, we'll just give a round number, 20 episodes.
Right.
Is it like back to back to back, like 20 days in a row, 20 weeks in a row? How do we do the episodes?
Well, again, it depends on each character. So like on the show I did with Catherine, it was 10 episodes. I was on 8 episodes. I only shot 13 days. And we filmed for 4 months.
Oh, wow.
But that was 13 days spread out over 4 months.
So, but you were still contractually obligated to not do anything else.
Yes. But the thing was, I was a local hire here in Georgia, and so at that time I was living with my parents. So I was living with my parents, and I was getting paid per diem because you get paid per diem if you are filming a project. So weekly, they would, on top of my paycheck, hand me an envelope of cash. Pre-COVID, they don't do this anymore. I mean, they will, but they'll put it in a check instead of handing you an envelope of cash. And it'll be anywhere from like, depending on if you're a local or if they've flown you in, 400 to like $1,000 a week for like gas and food and whatever you need. And they're like, here you go. So for me, that was just like a little extra like tip cherry on top at that day and age. But you know, it depends on what's going on. So if okay, depends on, let's start here. If we're looking at a 20 episode, you're looking at a 20 episode show, and let's say they're taking 4 months to film. How often you're filming and how frequently depends on, are you behind? Normally, we don't ever shoot on weekends.
Okay.
So if you end up shooting on a weekend, you are behind.
Okay.
You are very behind, and everyone's going to be very serious on the set. Nobody wants to be there. So there's that. It also comes down to location availability. You know, we want to use this mall. When is this mall available? Is this mall available only at night? Is it available first thing in the morning? Is it available all day? It also depends on a night shoot, you know? Like I've had shoots where we want a night shot, but we're only able to film that from 12 being midnight to 4 a.m. And you just have to pick it up and go. I've had, my longest shoot was 20 hours.
In a row.
20 hours in a row. And here's the crazy part about that. I left at about 10 hours in to go to the hospital because I was having an anaphylactic allergic reaction. Went to the hospital.
To what?
I don't know, something in the hair and makeup trailer we never found out. They had to shoot me in the butt with a steroid because I was swelling up. And then I went straight back to work and did it. I've horrifically sprained my ankle twice on set to the point where the urgent care was like, you broke that. And it hasn't happened. And I've been like doped up on like hydrocodone and like literally supposed to be in a boot and crutches, but like taking it off for the sake of filming and just being drugged up on camera, being like, let's roll. Like,
before the effects kick in, and I'm sleepy, so
yeah.
don't. Oh my God.
No, there was one time that happened, and I was 17, and I had to take 2 hydrocodone because I was in, like, my ankle. I'll look for it later and I'll show you. But my ankle had swollen up to about this big.
Oh my God, that's like the size of like a grapefruit.
Yeah, it was about the size of grapefruit, and the doctor was like, "I've seen a lot of broken ankles. I promise you broke your ankle." I didn't. I sprained it. And
you have a serious ankle.
Gymnastics as a child.
The dedication, exactly.
The dedication.
Like what?
I know. Like, when you love your job, you never work a day in your life.
That is such a lie.
You know, it is, but it's also, you know, at least you enjoy it.
That's the only thing. Like, I have to say, like, okay. So I used to think that, you know, they say if you love what you do, you never work a day. You're like, yes, you do.
You
if
do.
you love what you do, you actually work harder because you want it to be great and you want it to be perfect and you want it to be, you know, you want people to appreciate
and you
what
love
you're doing.
To work.
And you love it. And I think, like, okay, Taraji P. Henson was talking about her
love her,
how much she loves her job, but is not getting paid. And like,
yeah,
I totally understand that. Because like, if I take what I do here at the school, if I stop doing half the things that I do, I still fulfill the duties that I'm paid to do. So like the extra stuff, all the research I do for you guys to like give you all that stuff, all the games that we come up with, that. So it's like a lot of times when you love what you do, the fulfillment of it, you feel like you're, you know, it's like you're getting paid through fulfillment, but then you realize financially you're not getting paid what you're supposed to be getting paid. Because if I was actually getting paid for all the things that I did here, I was making way more money. You almost have to double my freaking salary because all the extra things that I do, but it's simply because I want you guys to really get it. Yeah. And I want you to be successful once you leave here. And I'm pretty sure when like Taraji's on set, she's learning from people who
Right.
have been in the industry longer than her, and she looks at that as fulfillment. Like, oh my God, I can't believe I get to work with this person and see them.
Oh,
And
it's the
then,
coolest thing.
The
It's the
younger
coolest thing.
actors, and she gets to teach them. So it's like
I
all
love
this,
that too.
yeah, like all this like personal fulfillment is happening,
Yeah.
but financially, the math, like she said, it's not math. I think the check is not looking.
I mean,
like the check is supposed to be looking.
So, and something people don't normally take into account is, yes, we get paid, and like everybody else, taxes come out, obviously. But then we have to pay 10% to an agent, 10% to a manager, 10% to a lawyer, and then our publicist is on retainer minimum. That's $3,000 a month minimum, and you normally have to do a 3-month retainer, so that's upfront $9,000. Then you're paying minimum $1,000 for hair and makeup for different events, which luckily, like if you're doing a movie or a show and you see them doing press runs for that movie or show, the production is paying for that, and they're paying for their outfits, and that's phenomenal and awesome. But I mean, by that point, that's already close to 50% of their check gone.
So she did do a little bit of math for us. She was saying how, let's say she gets like $150,000 for a movie. And then the government immediately, Uncle Sam takes half.
Yes.
Greedy bastard. He takes half. And then she has to pay her team 30%. But she pays her team the 30% on the $150.
Yep.
And not the $75 that she now has. Yep. So now you're paying 30% off $150,000 from your $75,000. And then she has to do, living expenses, blah, 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 blah. So
which is nice because it makes, if you think about it, it makes these actors and these A-listers and performers so much more relatable in the end. Because when you don't think about it, you're like, they're making millions a movie, whatever. And like, yes, they are. But then when you think about it, you're like,
no, they're not.
No, they're not.
They're really not. Because I mean, let's say you make $20 million. If Uncle Sam takes half, so you're down to 10, and then 30% of $20 million from $10 million. So no, you're really just. And I think it was Andre 3000. Shout out to 3 Stacks. He says, "I've lived beat to beat like you live check to check." He's like, so we like neck to neck. And I'm like, when you think about that, it's like, yeah. He said, if you don't move your feet, then I don't eat. So we like neck to neck. And it's like, when we really put into perspective the entertainment industry and all of the things you're paying for, things that we're not paying for. Because I don't have to pay an agent when I get a paycheck.
No.
But you do.
Also, it's, unless you're writing or producing, you can't create your own opportunities. You really can't. So you might have years where you're on the ball and you're rolling and you're doing 2, 3, 4 projects a year. You might have years where you haven't done anything in like 2 years.
Wow.
And so then having to be financially smart, and then also, taking your ego out of it and remembering, like, I'm an adult. I want to be happy. I want to survive. And like, money doesn't equal happiness, but money sure equals a hell of a lot of comfort.
Yeah.
So, there's that to take into account. But for me, it's like, I fully believe that if I am doing what I love to the nth degree and I'm giving money to causes that make me happy, like battered women's shelter and things of that nature, that it will always come back to me.
I love that.
And that I don't stress about it because, I can be fully happy without it and fully fulfilled without it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it makes them more relatable, but in the end, they are still making
money.
So, money.
Is it safe to say the person that's in front of the camera makes the least amount of money? Because if you're the actor, you're not making as much as the producer, director, writer, people behind the camera.
Well, but then you got to take into account like PAs, personal assistants. They're not making a lot of money.
Okay.
Like
so it depends on your position behind
it depends on your position. If you're looking at producers, but then it also, like, A-listers, they get these things called points.
Okay.
And points, producers also get, directors also get, and points are basically the equivalent of having stock in a project.
Okay.
So if project does this well, I will get whatever this percentage back. So I had that on my last movie, and it was like, okay, when the movie gets 25,000 views, I'm going to get this amount of money. When the movie gets 50,000 views, I'm going to get this amount of money. And it capped at, I think, like 20 million views was where it capped. But the pay increased and increased and increased and increased. So not only are people who are A-listers and I would say top billed 1 through 5 on the cast list, and producers and directors, not only are they getting paid on the front end, they're making it on the back end. But any actor, regardless, what I love, we make residuals. So I will forever, on any product I do, make money quarterly.
Okay.
For the rest of my life. I get 10-cent checks in sometimes for projects I did years ago and did nothing in. Sometimes I get massive checks. Sometimes I get $10 checks. But every quarter for the rest of my life, I will get paid.
Okay. I can live with that.
That's awesome.
That's
we
not
love
bad.
passive income.
We do.
We love it.
It's a good thing. All right. So when we're talking about some of the roles that you play, have you ever done anything like soap operas?
No.
Would you ever do a soap opera?
Yeah. Why not? I mean, at this point, again, like, I love to perform. So I really was hammering hard at the beginning of my career to be like, I want respect from people in my industry. Okay. I did not care about fame. I did not care about any of that. I wanted respect from the A-listers and from the people I aspired to be working with and to be like. And I got that. So for me, that's fulfillment enough. If I could consistently work all the time and that meant being on a soap opera, absolutely. You know how dramatic I am.
I do.
I would absolutely take it. Would I want to do it for the rest of my life?
No. Okay, so we have the hero or the heroine.
Yes.
They're the ones that are tortured, that are always going through the bad things,
Yes.
and then they have the triumph and all that good stuff.
You already know what I'm going to say.
Then we have the villain.
You already know what I'm going to
So
say.
you are definitely the antagonist in the soap opera.
Yeah.
So she's like the Sammy Brady.
I would be the villain. I would be the villain. And not because I am in real life, but because that role is more fun.
I don't know, because like, okay, I would rather be the one that's like the dark, the anti-hero, where you're kind of like the hero, but you're not the hero. So it's like the Carly Corinthos of the soap industry.
Totally.
I would be like her. She's totally a badass and a jackass, but like you root for her. So it's like when she goes to things, you're like, oh damn, come on, Carly, you can do this. Like you're better than this. And then other moments you're like, damn, Carly, you didn't have to do it like that. Like I would rather have like the balance between the good person and the bad person.
Absolutely.
And
and those roles are a lot of fun because it's your job as an actor to make it so that the audience has empathy for you, regardless of who you are, even as a villain, because nobody wants to watch a villain that they hate so much that they can't relate to.
right.
Because if you hate, you're not going to be able to relate to somebody you absolutely despise so much. I mean, you can hate someone for sure and watch them, but you love to hate them.
Right.
You love to hate them.
Those are villains like that. That's how I felt about the Joker in Dark Knight.
Yeah.
All right. So we're going to take a break. And then we're going to come back and we're going to play dive bar games. Guys, we haven't played games in a while. So we are going to play games and keep talking with Miss Isabella Amara about being in this amazing industry and all that. We got to hear stories. So get ready for stories. We want
giving stories.
We want funny stories. We want, the awkward. So we want all of those. So
we'll give you anything you want.
We're going to dive into those when we come back. This is Dylan's Dive Bar and we will be right back. middle of stuff.
I know.
So we are here talking with Miss Isabella Amara. If this is your first time tuning in tonight, thank you. Welcome to Dylan's Dive Bar. And we have been talking about how a star is born. She has been talking to us about this hilarious industry of entertainment
Crazy.
and growing up in it. So let's talk about transitioning.
Yes.
So what was it like going from child to adult? How was it trying to find roles being an adult in this industry, starting off as a kid?
Well, like we talked about earlier, I had the first transition where I got too tall for Broadway as a kid. And that was my transition into film and TV. I'd never done it in my life. And I was like, I need something else to do. And I was an athlete and I was obviously schooling and doing all that, but I wanted a performance outlet. So went into that, and you always go through an awkward transition at 13, 14.
Yes.
Because it's awkward, A and B, TV and film with continuity. They don't want braces. They do not want braces.
Oh.
Because you can be in the middle of filming something and then get them taken off, and then we have to explain why your braces are on or off, and losing teeth and continuity with that. So
the growing up part, you're not allowed to do that.
You're not allowed to be. Well, that's why a lot of the time you'll see 15, 16-year-olds playing 12, 13, 14.
Okay.
You won't really see 12, 13, 14.
Playing 12. Okay.
Absolutely not. You'll see 12, 13, 14 playing 8, 9, 10.
Huh.
Mm-hmm. And luckily nowadays they've started casting real, true, honest to God high schoolers to play high school, which thank goodness, because looking back on it, watching a high school show as a kid and
finding out they're 21.
Well, yeah, but then as a kid, you're like, this is what I'm supposed to look like when I get in high school. But they're 30-year-olds playing 17, and then you become an adult, and you're like, okay, I'm not supposed to look like that. So I'm glad that they're doing that, and they're also allowing those opportunities to the kids. But then I had a weird little transition in age. I'd say the past 2 years, I was almost kind of glad for the strike, because I was playing teenage roles, high school teenage. And I kept hearing this feedback of we believe you when you're acting. We think when you're acting, you are a teenager. But when we speak to you, you do not give teenage. You give 20, 23, 24. And I'm thinking, yes.
Because I am.
Because I'm, at that time, I am 23, 24.
Because I am.
But no one would want to cast me. And so it was this weird thing of I look like a minor. I don't seem like a minor. And so last year during the strike, and then that's really when it started, I had a whole year of not working where I got the opportunity to grow up.
Yeah.
And, it's been phenomenal. It's been weird coming back too, because my roles changed so much. Pre-strike, my roles were angsty bullied teenager, teenage mom, bitchy younger sister, blah, 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 things like that. And recently they've been crazy slutty girlfriend to a random serial killer, or I know, it's one, or it's been sister wife to a crazy abusive pastor, and there have been all these roles, and then the weird ones for me are the real adult ones. Which
I'm sorry, those last two weren't weird.
No. What's been weird for me has been cop. I'm that old. I'm you're considering
there are young cops.
There are, but the thing is, since I only was playing high school up to the past year, it was a 180 of you think I could be a paralegal? You think I'm you think I'm old enough to be a medical professional? I'm thinking, actually, truly at 25 I am.
Yeah.
But I'm this is just, I'm am I being punked right now? It makes me really excited because there's things I've wanted to do.
Right.
But part of me, half the time, I almost want to reach out to my manager and say, are we sure that they know?
Right.
They're fine with this, right? And it's been cool, but those have been weirder to me for sure.
So playing a more mature role has been a little off-putting.
I wouldn't say off-putting. It's just been a new it's been a new set of circumstances, a new horizon to really dive into, and I'm thankful I've been able to do it because aging is a gift.
Yeah.
It is a gift not everyone gets.
True. Very true.
And I have to remind myself that.
The only solution to getting older is dying young, and we don't want to do that. So
This is the only time people call you young when you're old too, is when you die young. And like,
right.
I'd rather someone call me old when I die.
All right. So while we are continuing our interview, we are going to play dive bar games. And so, of course, bar games are a little larger than life.
Yeah.
So we have a little Connect 4 here.
I'm so excited.
So because I'm the host, I get to start.
Yes,
off.
you do.
I think I'm going to take that little one right there. So have you had a role offered to you where there was nudity involved?
Absolutely. The second I turned 18, which I'm sure this is common for most actors, the second I turned 18, all the nudity roles came in.
Seriously.
It is like the floodgates open all over. They're like, nude? You wanna be nude? You wanna be naked on camera? And it's so weird. But for me, I've always said to my team, if I wanted to be naked on camera, I could do porn, make a lot more money, get a lot less rejection. So for me personally,
The combination here.
it's so true though. I could make a lot more money, work a lot more often to Connect 4, and get a lot less rejection.
There it is, ladies and gentlemen. All right. So you're not gonna do nudity is what I'm hearing.
The only time I would ever consider doing such would be if, and normally with movies like this would be if there was a major like Oscar buzz around it.
Yeah.
And it was like with projects like that though, you pretty much know out the gate, like your manager will say, there's a very high chance this is going to be nominated. And like that's rare to hear.
Yeah.
So but they know. Like going into it, it's just and when you hear that, sometimes you just really got to take a risk if it's really worth it. But for me, I'm a big picture person, so I think a lot about like my kids.
Yeah.
In the future, like I do want kids, and whether I have them or not is a different story. But I don't want to plague my children with the existence of my boobs or my butt all over.
Right.
All over the internet forever, where everybody can find them and where kids can bring it up at school and other things, I don't want to do that to them. That's not fair. And also, like I've known certain actresses who have done that, and all other actors, male actors, can do when they meet them and when they're working with them as coworkers is bring it up constantly.
Right.
And it's like, that's not appropriate, but it happens.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be personally, like, I don't want to subject myself to that. I don't want to be the girl where I feel like I'm trying to constantly earn my respect back.
Yeah.
And I keep that private for me. Now, it is kind of expected as an adult to be okay with being in a bathing suit and being in lingerie.
Okay.
Because lingerie is like a bathing suit, and they're in a producer's mind. So in that regard, like I have no choice but to be okay with that, and that's whatever. But as for like strict nudity, like the two things I don't do is I don't do nudity, and I don't do children's films where there's bullying that goes unresolved. Because I have 2 nephews and I love them so much, and I never want to send a message to children that it is okay to be a piece of shit.
Right.
And that nothing's going to happen to you for it.
Yeah.
So those are my 2 stipulations.
No nudity, no unresolved bullying. I like it. All right, you start off since you won the last one.
Yeah.
All right. So, what locations have you done outside of Georgia, if any?
Shooting. Minneapolis.
Is that as boring as it sounds?
No.
Really?
Minnesota was so much fun.
Okay.
I don't know if it was the people that I was filming with as much as the area, but actually it was really cool. It was there were a lot of lakes, there were a lot of things to do outside, a lot of great food, a lot of beautiful places, and like I had a blast up there. Like I would go back there for sure.
Okay.
So I loved that. And I've filmed in LA before, obviously.
Okay.
Done a lot of filming here in Atlanta.
I love Atlanta.
Right? I have filmed in Shreveport, Louisiana.
Okay.
Which we're going to talk about the worst places I've ever filmed. Shreveport, Louisiana.
Why?
Number 1. Why? Because it is so fucking boring. Like, okay, you're in this small little baby town.
Okay.
That there is like one casino, a giant, like, you know those giant like camping and fishing stores?
Yes.
There's like one giant fishing store, a bunch of cowboys, and like a bunch of rundown motels. At least there was a Waffle House, but like we were filming a horse movie, so we needed to be out there. We needed the stables. We needed
The fact that the Waffle House is what saved this.
the Wahoo was what saved that trip.
The fact that the Waffle House was the saving grace.
It was.
For Louisiana.
Oh my gosh, totally, because nothing was better than like getting off a long day of filming and being like, well, I'm depressed, you want some Waffle House? Like, for real.
That is hilarious. Okay, so we have Minnesota, we have Shreveport, we have LA.
Yes. I've also filmed in what else have I filmed? Now you got me thinking. I think that's it. Most things film in Atlanta nowadays, which is funny because, like, other than loving it, a big thing with me filming when I was younger was I was like, or me acting, I was like, I want to get out of Atlanta.
Okay. And then now this is like the place where everything is.
Now everything is here, and I will never be able to leave. This
Nope.
is my purgatory. This is my contract I signed before I came down to earth.
That you are Atlanta bound and gagged.
I'm Atlanta homebound forever.
Yes.
But you know, don't get me wrong, there are a lot worse places to be than Atlanta for
This
sure.
is true. This
For
is so
sure. But I love to travel, and I love to be able to. Oh my God! Why did I blank? Albuquerque, New Mexico.
Really?
Yeah, my last movie that I filmed was called Vengeance. It was a BJ Novak film with Ashton Kutcher and Phineas O'Connell and John Mayer. We're tied. We're tied now. Okay, that was sick. I'm like not a heavy drinker, and so now I'm like.
And now the excuses come in.
I'm one shot and I'm tossing.
You've been drinking heavily.
Yeah, I know, right? All right,
We
shame
actually
on
haven't.
us.
We actually haven't, guys.
We really haven't.
All right. So
Especially
talk to us about this one with in Albuquerque.
Yes. So this was a dark comedy thriller.
I'm shocked.
You
did dark comedy?
I'm shocked. I did dark comedy. It was a Blumhouse film.
Okay.
So Blumhouse, here you go. Blumhouse normally does horror movies.
Really?
Yeah, they do The Conjuring, Annabelle, The Purge,
The shit that keeps you from sleeping at night. That's what I do.
And I had, you know what's crazy is I had been manifesting it too. I kept saying, because I don't watch them as much anymore because I don't like the headspace they put me in, but I love a good horror movie. And I love a bad horror movie.
Okay, so I used to like them growing up because it was the creep factor. But now it's just gory, and I'm like,
I don't like the gory thing.
And I don't like the possession stuff. Like,
I love ghost movies a lot, but what I will say is, like, I've gone through the whole Saw franchise. Don't get me wrong, but I won't redo it. You know what I mean? Like, I've seen it.
I don't want to see it again. I think
I won't be
because I used to love like the teenage slasher films.
Yeah,
I know what you did last summer, like Scream, like the one that had the guy that always scares me is Michael Myers. Even his music is creepy. So he's probably the only one that really, him and the guy from I Know What You Did Last Summer.
Oh no.
Like Freddy Krueger and Jason, I could pretty much be like
The Hook.
Yeah, I'm like they're not real, it's whatever.
Yeah,
but Michael Myers and Ben Willis are real people.
So
that
the ones that are like tangibly real. Freak you out.
The ones that could literally be next to you in the grocery store.
See, I don't like movies that horror movies that take place in like mental asylums for that same reason.
Gotcha.
Because it's so real that it's like,
and you're thinking the whole time like, I mean, I know it's a movie, but And I'm always like, it's based on something. I don't care what anybody says. Like, that's how I feel about most like cop shows. I'm like, they're all based on something. I think they're funny, not scary. Well,
they are funny. Well,
it depends.
it also depends on, are you watching it at
Michael
home?
Myers is the one. He's the one. That's the one. He is
Right.
the one that freaks me out. Like when he slides off from under cars and all, and like the way he walks, and then you turn around, he's not there. Then you turn around, he's right in front. Like that shit. Like,
see, and when I think about like Chucky, like I could punt that little boy halfway across the football field.
So
Like,
this is my problem with Chucky.
yeah.
Growing up, I had a kid's sister doll. My brother had a My Buddy doll. And that bastard Chucky looks just like those dolls. So by the time Child's Play comes out, we loved our dolls until Chucky came out. And the one time I thought I saw that witch blink on her own, and I'm like, yo, ass out of here. You can't stay. And my mom was
dolls
so
are
mad.
creepy.
My mom was so mad because she was like, y'all love those dolls. None more? None more? Soon as we saw Chucky, we were like, oh, no. Because if I wake up and you ain't where I put you.
Or you're standing up right next to me, or no.
Get out of here. So my brother took his My Buddy doll, and when I say football punt kick that thing, okay, he was like, nope. And I'm like,
not today.
Even though I think Chucky is hilarious.
Chucky's hilarious.
Chucky messed up My Buddy and Me. Exactly. It was like, you gotta love those. And now we don't, because no.
Now we don't. But, like, I love a good horror movie. And again, I pretty much exclusively keep them for Halloween nowadays.
Yeah.
And for October, because I'm a spooky girl. Like, Courage the Cowardly Dog was one of my favorite TV shows as a child. Was a Tim Burton girl as a toddler, like 2 years old.
Please tell me Tim Burton is the one that did Beetlejuice with Michael Keaton.
Connect 4.
Damn. Was he the one that did Beetlejuice?
He was.
Because that's one of my favorite movies.
So Beetlejuice.
Michael Keaton is hilarious as Beetlejuice.
Yes. So great movie.
That is such a great movie.
Great
and
movie.
That whole that's the only reason why I really like that song. That one and the one that she does at the end. What's the one when she does Jump in the Line? That one.
Body on Time. Oh yeah.
Yes. I love
all the
songs.
Cruise songs.
I love
the 2000s
Right.
songs.
I love those songs. Those moments in the movie are like my favorite. All right.
Yes.
So we talked about your roles, things that you've done. Let's talk about moments on set.
Yes.
Tell us about a funny moment on set.
Funny moment?
Mm-hmm.
Let me think. Actually, there's so many chips, it doesn't matter. We'll get it later. A funny moment on set. Gosh, now you're catching me off.
Damn it. I think my board is drunk. All right. So, funny moment on set.
Funny moment on set.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if there's God, I wish I could say that there's one particularly funny moment. Actually, you know what? This is kind of funny. It's kind of crackheady of me to do.
Crackheady.
Yeah, no,
So we now have a new word, dive bar. Crackheady.
There you go. I was 18 years old. I was filming the show with Catherine. It was called Queen America. It was a Facebook watch show. And I had this scene in the third or fourth episode. So basically, part of the plot of my character was that I was a minor, but I was seeing a college boy. But he didn't know I was
contributing to the delinquency of a minor.
I know. We don't do that as bartenders.
We do not.
We do not. But as a 17-year-old on the show, I absolutely was contributing to my own thing. I told him on the show that I was in college. We're at a college nearby, and he believed it, which
he's an idiot.
That's such a teen thing to do, though. So there was a scene where I was sneaking out of the house and going to his car, right? And so I was staying at my aunt's house, and I told her, and I had never really stayed at her house. She was really excited, and I told her, yeah, I'm just going to spend the night here. I'm supposed to be sneaking out. And so we were filming the scene at 1:30 in the morning.
Oh, wow.
And we had been filming all day from 5 a.m. on, and I was exhausted. Granted, I'd had some breaks. I wasn't consistently filming all day, so I'd taken a nap here and there. But I was I was exhausted, and I didn't drink coffee at this point, but I drank a lot of green tea.
Okay.
And so as we were getting ready to start, they were setting up the shot where I was supposed to be sneaking out of my house, walking down the driveway, and getting into a car. I was like, okay, I'm going to need some sort of energy for this. So, like, a PA was like, can I get you anything? I was like, sure. Could you get me some matcha? So I had a cup, and I was like, hey, that's good. I feel a little bit better, but I could be more awake.
Right.
So I have another cup.
Oh, Lord.
And then I have another cup.
Oh, Lord.
And at this point, I've had 4 cups of matcha. And matcha is a very high
In caffeine.
drink. So we go to do this take, and I am caffeined up. We go through the first take, it goes normal. We go through the second take, it goes normal. And then we get to the third take. I'm walking down the driveway. I get there. I go to open the door. The car door is locked. And I'm mic'd up. So I can't be like, hey, open the door. Like, I'm on a mic, and I'm like thinking, what do I do? Without taking like longer than 2 seconds to think, I jumped headfirst through the car window and like roll in and dive in. I've never done that in my life. Never. I've never, ever done that in my life. I roll in. The kid playing my boyfriend looks at me like, what the fuck are you doing? What the fuck? Exactly. And I'm like, go. And he was like, I'm so sorry. I didn't know how to unlock the door. I'm like, just go. Like,
and tell me they kept that scene.
They used it in the trailer. They didn't keep it in the show. And we were all so pissed at it too, because we all were like, I hope that scene gets in there.
That's hilarious.
That is such a teenager thing to do. But that, I think that trumps one of my funniest moments.
That does qualify as crackheady.
It's crackheady energy for sure.
Yes.
I know. It's totally
That
crackheady.
is absolutely hilarious.
Like if one of your friends did that, you'd be like,
at this moment, I'm leaving you here. Get out. Get out. Open it. Get out.
You are not going. You are too drunk. Stay home.
You're not going.
So yeah, no, I think that's one of the moments that stands out.
It's hilarious.
Yeah, but when you're on a comedy movie, like you're always having funny moments.
I love that.
Because people improv all the time. So at the point, like when you're a lead in a movie, it's almost expected to like be on book and know your lines, but like expected to improv for sure.
Right.
And so just like all the time, people are just saying things out of left field, and it makes for a really fun work environment for sure.
All right, so while you're on set now, guys, if you have any questions, put me out because I'm already. I'm putting you out.
I almost made a bad move.
I am not. Yes, I'm putting you out because you're doing weird shit, and there's no telling what you're gonna do when we leave here and get to wherever we're going. You're probably gonna do more weird shit.
Amen.
Get out.
Amen.
So you already went.
I did.
All right. So put your questions in the comments if you have any for Miss Bella. All right. So during the strike,
Yes.
and she hits connect.
Oh, you had like 6 going. That was so cool. That was smart.
So during the strike, I think your strike was almost kind of like with COVID with the rest of the world. When COVID happened, so many people discovered
we were out during COVID too,
like online stuff, and tried to learn a trade, all that kind of stuff. So what did you do to occupy your time during the strike?
Well,
besides coming to bartending school.
I know. I was gonna say. Well, I mean, it's like during COVID, which was the first part of our strike because we were out a year and a half.
Right.
For me, that was about routine and self-love and learning to take care of myself and learning how to cook, because my mother is an ingredients cook and not a seasoning cook. And so we had a lot of bland things growing up. And I was like, I will be damned if I'm stuck in this house and I'm eating this food. My mom is
raw chicken.
My mom lived in Mobile, so the one thing she can make is Cajun food, and she makes such good Cajun food. But that's it.
Gotcha.
So other than that, it is like, let me throw a chicken in an oven and let me put some butter and white wine on it and call it a day. And I'm like, oh.
It's like, ma'am, there are so many other things that we could be putting on this.
So I became Chef Boyardee during
Absolutely.
COVID.
Absolutely.
Love that.
All right. So we have a question that says, how did you get your start?
Well, I have a photographic memory.
Okay.
And so when I was 2, I was in a private preschool that had a water park, which is hectic.
Your preschool had a water park.
Yeah, it's called Creme de la Creme.
Hell yeah, it is. You had a fucking water park.
Yeah, no, it was, in retrospect, looking back, I'm like, that is so unnecessary. But as a 3-year-old, to pull up to school and they're like, we're going to the water park today, and you're like, yeah, we are. It was cute, it was great. But we did Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer one year, and I was 3, and they cast me as the snowman, who's the narrator. I was like, cool, bet, game on. And I came to my parents and I said, I was like, they were like, do you know your lines? And I was like, yeah, I know all of them. They were like, okay. And I was like, no, I know I know the whole play. And they were like, no, you don't. And I was like, I do. And so they started quizzing me on the whole thing. And the whole thing.
Wow.
And so it was interesting because, like, we did maybe 3 shows. And the second show, the kid playing the elf, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer is about the reindeer and the elf. Kid playing the elf got sick. So my ass was like, I'll be the snowman and the elf.
Oh my Lord.
So here I am in this cute little dress with a hoop skirt on. It's a white snowman dress. And then I'm running off stage, but keeping the dress on and throwing on a little elf cardigan and an elf hat and running back on and then running off and taking it on, putting back on.
Did y'all ever have conversations with each other?
No, luckily the narrator was narrating, and so the narrator wasn't having to talk to anybody directly. But, like, I don't know how I did it. Like, that's mad impressive for sure.
And the fact that they even let you do it is even crazier.
I think they were like, well, we got a little kid who knows the lines, and, like,
Why not?
Trying to get another 3-year-old to learn a whole play's worth of lines is not going to happen today. Like, it's just in one day, it's not going to happen.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, so that was kind of how I got my start. And then from there, it was just like doing musical theater classes and doing it at school and doing community theater and training all the time. And that, it naturally took its course. I always had a passion for it. I wouldn't nap at nap time.
Yeah.
And so I would go to piano lessons instead during nap time when all the rest of the kids would nap because I just...
Overachiever here.
Yeah.
Okay.
The goal.
Broadway shows.
Yes.
We have like some that are just like known on Broadway. When you like think of them, you're like Broadway. Yeah. So you have like your Chicago. You have your
Phantom of the Opera, which is
Phantom of the Opera. You have Cats, Wicked, things like that.
Yes.
Which one of those big shows have you thought like that's the one?
Phantom of the Opera.
Really?
Phantom of the Opera, because I also was classically trained in high school. I went to for 1 year because I booked my first lead in a movie, and so I left after that 1 year. I went to Performing Arts Magnet High School here in Georgia called Pebblebrook High School, and I was classically trained there to do opera and to do just like classical music. Like we would sit down and study like Baroque period music.
Oh,
like,
wow.
Yeah, it was like true, honest to God, classical training, and we were required to take a piano class during school, and we would compete at like different international competitions as a choir, and we were phenomenal. But for me, like I love that, and that's not something you really get the opportunity to ever do, like our operas, and to sing like that. And I think Phantom of the Opera is just such a beautiful, like it's just a beautiful show, and the wardrobe's beautiful, the set's beautiful, the music's beautiful. So I'd love to do that. I don't think I'm enough of a dancer to do Chicago. I'd love to do Cell Block Tango, but like Chicago, when they're casting, they are looking for dancers who can sing.
Yeah.
They're not looking for singers who can dance.
Gotcha.
And I've always been a singer who can dance. I've never been, and I'm a better singer than I am an actor, but I've never been a dancer who can sing. I can always hold my own, but like if you were going to put me with the ballerina girls, not a chance. So that's probably why I wouldn't say Chicago, but like it would have to be a runner-up, because who wouldn't want to be in Chicago?
I would love to. That they had it coming. I would definitely.
It's sexy.
Yes.
It's like female empowerment. It's, it's
Just
just
a little dark, which is what you tend to like.
dark. I love it.
They're sitting in there talking about how they did it. Where's the best place to find an agent?
Well, I'd say if you are just starting out, I'd say some of the best places to look are, I mean, what I would do is when I was looking for an agent, get online, type in like agents in the Atlanta area, find out where they are. And then here's a big thing though, like if you're looking, and I was telling you this the other day, if you're looking for an agent, you will never be paying your agent unless you book a job. That is it. So if you go to an agency that says, hey, like, we'll sign you, but you have to pay us for your headshots to be done, and you have to pay us for your demos and your reels, and you have to pay us for your training. No, that's not how it works.
Gotcha.
But if they're like, hey, we'll sign you and we'll tell you where to go to get those things done, and like it'll cost you money for sure, but like they're not directly taking the money.
You're paying that person that's doing the headshot.
Yes.
So
then it's not a scam. But there are a lot of scam agencies and a lot, especially modeling agencies, just a lot of scams. But I would say, like look up in your local area, like what are the agents there, and then obviously they're going to have addresses, and post-COVID, like normally people don't go in office, but I would say take a headshot and a resume, go drop it off at the front desk.
So if you don't have any experience and you're putting in your resume,
Yeah.
what kind of jobs would they look for you to have that could kind of help? Like, I feel like as bartenders, we are on the stage.
Right.
Then you have like anybody in the service industry. Okay. Anybody in the service industry, customer service.
Yeah.
You're an actor because you have to act like you give a damn that dress doesn't fit them, or you have to act like you don't see that dress doesn't fit them. So, like what kind of jobs would they be looking for to kind of give them the impression that you could be successful in
like an agent?
Yeah.
I would say go do some student films. There's this phenomenal thing that I love called 48 Hour Film Festival, where a bunch of writers and director teams will submit their name into this festival, and they will draw category: horror, thriller, comedy. God forbid you get musical, because it's a 48-hour film festival. You have 48 hours to write, cast, direct, shoot, edit, turn it in. It's 48 hours and done.
I would love that. Oh my God.
It's so much fun. And
that sounds like so much pressure, but so fulfilling.
It's so
you can
fun.
Pull that shit off.
It's so fun. You will make no money doing it, but everyone loves to do it. I did a bunch of them when I was first starting. And a lot of the films that come out of there are really good quality, and some really good people come out of there. I mean, one of my friends, Michael Provost, he did some with me, and now he's ended up as leads on like Netflix shows and movies and things like that. And so, I love those. Being able to do student films though, like great, easy way. Doing extra work, doing stage, doing community theater, just something to show like I have been in this environment at least once in some capacity.
Right.
I maybe taking an improv class.
That's hilarious. So one of the questions that came up was how many movies, shows, whatever have you done?
How many movies or shows? God, let me think. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
She's still counting. I love it.
That I haven't been a lead in, and just all together, I'd say probably 19 or 20 things. Things I've been a lead in, probably about 7 or 8.
Okay. Name projects, because we want you to go look this up and
here we go.
Look how great she is. Come on, name them. Let's go.
Joyful Noise, The Boss, which is a Melissa McCarthy movie, a comedy movie that came out. So in the first couple of scenes, there are those orphan girls. I'm the oldest one who yells "fuck you" at the bar. Scream. I know. I have people who come up to me in public, especially when I was younger, and they'd scream "fuck you" at me, and I had no idea what they were talking about. I'm like, what did I do to piss this person off? And they're like, you were great in that movie. And I'm like, oh my God. Okay, cool.
Oh, wait,
Cool.
thanks. You remember me.
I know. So there was that movie. I did
That's hilarious.
Spider-Man Homecoming, Avengers Infinity War. I did Nashville, the TV show. I did my TV show Queen America, which I love and adore. I did, oh my God, now my brain is drawing a blank. I did a movie called Vengeance, which I was talking about before, that came out 2-ish years ago.
Okay.
Love and adore that show. It was on Euphoria. God, what else have I done?
I saw on your IG page there's like a cast picture, and
Yes.
I think Issa Rae.
That's Vengeance.
That's Vengeance.
That's
Okay.
Vengeance. Yes, thank you for bringing her up. She's phenomenal to work with, and she's such a talent. I love her and adore her. She's in Vengeance. So Vengeance is, let me actually name drop people. Issa Rae, John Mayer, BJ Novak, who played Ryan the Temp on The Office. I said Ashton Kutcher, didn't I? I did.
You didn't, but we're glad
Ashton
you did.
Kutcher. Ashton Kutcher. Boyd Holbrook, which he's one of those people where you might not know his name, but if you see his face, you start to look through his IMDb, you're like, oh my God, he's been in
A ton of
everything.
Gotcha.
Jay Smith Cameron, who Jay Cameron Smith, she played my mom in Vengeance. She also played the lawyer on the show Succession, which was this massive HBO show that blew up, which had Kieran Culkin on it and all these phenomenal fucking actors. Also, Phineas O'Connell, Billie Eilish's brother, did the composition for the film. Dove Cameron played my sister in that movie.
Aww.
Yeah, so that was a big movie. And
when you meet Disney stars, you're like, you're in there.
Yeah, and it, not to toot my own horn, I was one number higher than her on the cast.
Girl, beat, toot.
But yeah, she's sweet. I love her so much. She and I are very close. But yeah, I'm very thankful for what I've gotten to do. I've obviously done a lot more than that. Just off the top of my head, I'm just these are the things. Oh my God, why did I forget that? Okay, so the movie Vengeance I just did was the centerpiece at Tribeca Film Festival 2 years ago. I also did a movie called Wilson, which was me opposite Woody Harrelson and Laura Dern. They played my parents in the movie. Judy Greer is also in that movie. Margot Martindale's in that movie, and so is Cheryl Hines, who is married to Bobby Kennedy Jr. She was in that movie. She played my aunt in that movie. It's a phenomenal movie. That was world premiered at Sundance Film Festival back in 2017. Yeah. That is another dark comedy.
I'm shocked.
There's another movie I did called The Tale, which phenomenal movie. I've seen it once. I will never watch it again. It is dark. It is about child grooming, and it is a real story based off of our director. Where when she was 10, she went to a horse. This is the Shreveport movie. She went to a horseback riding camp, and the coach there, who was an ex-gold medal Olympian, groomed her and got her to have a sexual relationship with him as well as with another coach there. Wow. And she, that was her big coming out piece, and that has Elizabeth Debicki in it, who just won an Emmy for The Crown for playing Princess Diana. Jason Ritter is in that. God, who else is in that? Ellen Burstyn in that? There's a lot of people in that movie.
So things like that, where you're talking about child grooming, things like that. Yeah. When the director yells cut after certain scenes, like the ones that are super emotional, and you are really, getting into the emotions of the scene, how hard is it to disconnect when the director's like, okay, cut, that's end scene? How hard is it to disconnect from those scenes where you have to be so tuned in, so plugged in emotionally?
Well, I do a lot of prepping on those days. I warn people the day before, hey, because I'm a very social and outgoing person. I'm usually very bubbly, but I warn people going into it. I'm like, tomorrow, if I give you a bitchy look, if I don't say hi to you, if I seem like the rudest person in the world tomorrow, please know that it is not me. I'm just prepping for what we're about to do for work. And I let them know in advance so that they're not just like, damn.
Right.
Like, you know, and I respect and love the people I work with. And I mean, I'll tell everybody from people driving vans to PAs to cast to crew, it doesn't matter who, but I let everyone know. I normally have a music playlist that I listen to going into it of just really dark, depressing music because, you know, everyone has music that they've listened to at periods in their lives that just bring them back to that. Like, you can't even listen to it because it just brings you back to this really bad place. So I have all those on a playlist. And I'll listen to those on repeat, and I won't be social. I'm very introverted those days. And, you know, if while we're filming, it's just about staying in it. So if I'm bawling and crying, and that's what I'm doing the whole scene, I'm bawling and crying still and hyperventilating still as the director is talking to me and we've cut. They try to keep rolling as fast as they can on those days to try to keep everyone in it.
Yeah.
But, you know, on those days where they need that heightened emotion, I have to stay in it, even when we've called cut.
Yeah.
Now, when we get to the point of fully finishing the scene, if there are no more emotional scenes for that day, I pretty immediately go take some migraine medication, like Excedrin migraine, because at that point I've been bawling. I have makeup down my face. Normally they throw extensions in my hair. My head is hurting. The lights, everything. I'm like, I'm going to throw up. I need an Excedrin migraine. So that's usually the first thing I'll do. And I'll usually burst out laughing by the end of it because I'm just like, oh, thank God we're done. We're finished.
I love it. I love it. You got to do something to break it.
You've got to break it, which is a big reason why, like, a lot of the acting techniques I follow are method, but I don't practice method because I don't believe it's healthy to stay in that.
Yeah.
And, like, live, especially in a dark character, like, nothing will come before my health and my happiness.
Yeah.
Even my work, no matter how much I love it. And if that makes my work worse, then so be it. So be it. I'm not going to end up like Heath Ledger. It will not happen to me.
Yeah. And that's probably been some other people's stories, especially when they get so into those characters where it's like, hey, come out of it. I think it was Maurice Bernard on General Hospital when he was discovering that he was bipolar. You know, his wife said that he would be in like character of Sonny Corinthos at home, and she'd have to like, honey, like cut, break. Like you're not.
This is not who I married.
Yeah, you're not really Sonny Corinthos. So I can only imagine. All right, so guys, we have to get out of here, but I am so thankful that you came in today.
I'm so glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
Of course. Before we go,
yes,
I want you to do, if you can, for us, a monologue. Any monologue you can think of.
Girl, I haven't done a monologue in forever.
And I'm so gonna. So like, okay, Disney villain monologue.
You want me to just like come up with it on the spot?
Yeah.
I'm not a writer. I'm an actor.
I want to do the one that they've already done.
What do you mean do the one they've already
done? I mean, there are lots of Disney villains that have done monologues.
Do you know them off the top of your head?
Ursula from.
Wait, you seriously know a monologue off the top of your head?
From Ursula from the Little Mermaid?
Seriously?
She's my favorite Disney villain.
See, and I don't like. I don't know. Like, monologues are the bane of my existence. Like, I think when you grow up in theater, they're always like, have a monologue, have a monologue, have a monologue. And the second you get into film and TV, they're like my every constant, like, I have an audition I have to do in the morning. I don't know the sides. But like, you have less than 24 hours. You have 6 pages of sides to learn. You learn them. You do it. It's kind of like when you're going into high school to do a test. You like cram. You learn it. You go and you do it. You forget about it.
Right.
So like, it was such a beautiful thing to be like, I don't have to memorize 2 pages worth of words anymore.
You seriously don't have a monologue?
No.
None of your characters did a monologue?
Not that I remember. I know. I wish I could give it to you. I promise next time I'll give it to you. I'll prep. Now that I know you want a monologue.
I do. So guys, when she gives it to me, I'm gonna put it up on the page.
Yeah, I got it.
That is hilarious. All right. So guys, thank you so much for tuning in and sharing this time with us while we talk to our favorite star, Miss Isabella Amara. And I have no idea who's going to be on the show next week. I'm going to be honest with you guys. But what I
Someone
do know,
phenomenal.
someone amazing.
You.
Me, yes, absolutely. Look, jury's already clocking out. So I just want to thank you guys for tuning in, and always remember you were designed to thrive. We will see you guys next week on Dylan's Dive Bar.
Bye.